Hi guys, we're continuing with dress selection and design. So we were reading about functional ornaments, and these were support sashes, support for the collar area, for draped material, etc. Skirts, ornaments. So the next section is called jewelry used for decoration. Earrings, bracelets, rings are always solely ornamental. Earrings that emphasize the costume color or accent the color of eyes often supply finishing touch a costume requires. A bracelet, by repeating eye color, can focus attention on the face as forcefully as earrings or a necklace. Ornaments need a solid colored background to frame them effectively. A costume loses decisiveness when an ornament is placed against a pattern. Okay, we did this part already. So the last we were reading about was the things we need to do, which were clip and file, a reference example of an unusual and flattering face framing detail found in a fashion magazine. And the second thing was to design on tracing paper over the lay figure an unusual collar or neckline, and select those becoming to you. And then the third thing, trace from historic and national costume books examples of distinctive ornaments and fasteners. Also explore the possibilities of man-made articles, particularly wrought iron, as well as natural forms as sources of designs for costume ornaments. So in the next section is the topic is patterns, the selection of patterned fabrics. The pattern is defined by the interplay of values and colors created by a printing design on fabric by weaving colored yarn into it or by embroidering it. Yarns. So weaving colored yarns, and then it says many women do not realize or forget that pattern in costume is created not only by the fabric but also by flower corsages, hat, glove, and shoe trimmings, jewelry, and spotted or striped furs and leathers. The two types of pattern are often combined. The result, each loses significance and the emphasis of the patterns becomes confused. If you combine too many different types of patterns, the emphasis is lost. At the tag end of winter, prints flood the piece goods market. Their gay colors and designs are irresistible harbingers of spring. Although America abounds in a patterned fabric in bewildering quantity, relatively few of them are exceptional in design or color. Many are mediocre, others downright ugly. Choosing patterns wisely depends on learning to distinguish the fine designs from the mediocre or ugly. On developing discrimination and selecting patterns suitable for their use in costume, and above all, on having the willpower to reject any patterned fabric, no matter how lovely, unless it complements both costume and person. Production method influences design quality. The method of pattern production, printing, weaving, needlework influences the quality of design. The comparison of methods below reveals their advantages and disadvantages. And then it says that VIDs. Off-screen prints with motifs arranged in horizontal rows hang crookedly if the dress is cut with the pattern straight. The pattern appears crooked if the dress is cut with the grain straight. Okay, so printed patterns, harmony of pattern and fabric weave. A printed design should dominate its background, but it will not if the weave of the cloth is highly decorative. Before buying a print, make certain the background and printed design do not compete. Fabrics such as percale, polished cotton, flat crepe, tangi, and taffeta have surfaces so plain that decoration improves them. Although subtle textures interest in the weave or textural interest in the weave may contribute to the character of a pattern. Highly ornamental weaves are likely to dominate the pattern printed on them. For example, the slub yarns of Shantung or the twill weave of Sarah may contribute to the effectiveness of a print, but coarse ribs and damasks usually are so ornamental that they need no further enrichment. Woven patterns. Advantages over printed designs. Unity of pattern and grain of cloth. Weaving yarns of different colors together produces cloth and pattern in one process and hush, puppy. Now you get all excited. Weaving yarns of different colors produces cloth and pattern in one process and fuses the two automatically. Straight line, geometric, stripes, plaids, and checks may run off-grain when they're printed on cloth after it is woven. Maiden! Before buying a printed fabric, particularly a striped plaid or a repeat pattern arranged in horizontal rows, inspect the torn end of the cloth to determine if the print conforms to the grain. A pattern printed off grain presents an insurmountable problem in dressmaking because either the grain or the pattern will run askew. So, since the printed pattern is more conspicuous than the grain, cut a dress with the print rather than the grain straight. However, do not expect a dress with distorted grain to wash or to hang satisfactorily. An all-over pattern is an exception to this rule. It may be printed off grain and still prove satisfactory for a full-skirted evening gown. Since formals are chosen for beauty, not service, are expected to be dry cleaned, not washed, and are usually cut with circular skirt or draped folds, which effectively conceal the conflict between pattern and grain. So it says a circular skirt and a draped bodice conceal any conflict between pattern and grain. And then birds and flowers are stylized in this pattern to conform to the coarse linen texture. Italian late 15th, early 16th century is where it's from. Metropolitan Museum of Art, 1946. Weaving stylizes the pattern, although the print can be produced with a greater variety of color and shapes than is possible in woven design. The limitations imposed by weaving process strengthens the character of a design. So great, great color, great variety of color and shapes and colors and shapes. Okay, maiden. So weaving process, to conform to the weave, a realistic motif must be stylized into a simpler but stronger semi-geometric shape, producing handcrafted look. Okay, reversibility. Examine the pattern to see whether right and wrong sides are alike. The wrong side of a woven check, stripe, or plaid usually duplicates the right side, making the fabric reversible. Do not underestimate this advantage, particularly if you must match an unbalanced plaid, one with right and left along sloping seam lines. Printed plaids and florals have a right and a wrong side, and therefore cannot be reversed for matching. So depending on the pattern. Patterns with the right and left, up and down direction, and which are not reversible, present so many problems of cutting and matching that they challenge the ingenuity of the most experienced dressmakers. With such a fabric, all the pieces of a dress must be laid in the same direction and cut separately. Since the fabric cannot be reversed, the plaids are almost certainly to appear mismatched at the seams. So this is an example showing one side differing from another side. The right from left, up from down, etc. And this is showing a mismatched seam, the result of an unbalanced plaid with the right and wrong. So weaving increases variety of tones. In woven fabrics, 2 tones can produce 3 tones. For example, black and white woven into a check result in black, gray, and white. Whereas the black checks printed on white result in exact equality of black and white. In the woven check, intermediate gray forms a transition between black and white and gives the woven gingham and shepherd's checks their characteristic variety. Weave influences the shape of the checks. Compare a check gingham plain weave with a shepherd's or hound's tooth check which is 12 weave. Gingham has square, sharp edges, whereas the houndstooth check has more interesting, irregular shapes because the 12 weave carries the color diagonally across the square of each check. Warp printing is the next section. A pattern printed on the warp or lengthwise yarns before the filling yarn is woven in is known as a warp print. Weaving a filling yarn of a single color, often white, through the printed pattern blends pattern and weave, thus softening the colors and blurring the outlines. Warp prints are noted for their subtle colorings. They are always muted, never raw. Warp printing combines freedom of printing process with blending advantages of the weaving process. Color fastness. Since yarns of a woven pattern are dyed before weaving, colors are more likely to be fast to the sun and washing than colors printed on the surface of a fabric. Look for a label guaranteeing color fastness before buying any patterned fabric intended for normal service. Summer cottons, linens, blends are not worth the money or time involved in making them into garments unless they're guaranteed to withstand repeated washings and wearing in sunlight without cracking, fading, or running. Patterns intended for late day, evening, or occasional wear need not stand so rigorous a test. Okay. I'm not sure why, but okay. I would think evening wear would be more important, but I guess not in this book. And this is from a few decades back, so maybe their habits were a bit different. As far as fashion, they probably didn't go out too much in the evenings, maybe. So emphasis is more in the daytime wear rather than nighttime wear. Well, anyways, and this is in America, obviously, this writing. And so it says a printed check with the quality of tones monotonous, and a gingham has 3 tones, soften the appearance. A 12 weave increases the variety, or a houndstooth check. Okay, that's what that is. And then the colors of a warp print are muted by a filling yarn of one color, often white. So you have to make sure cottons, linens, and blends are color fast for nicer clothes, clothes that you need to wear longer time. Needlework patterns. Embroidery or braiding like printing is applied to fabric after it is woven with needle and thread instead of dye. So embroidery and braiding. It can be done by hand or by machine, matching or contrasting thread or cord will produce a raised pattern that gives the cloth body and firmness as well as design. A needlework pattern may be applied all over a fabric before it is cut into a garment, or to a particular section of a garment after it is cut. If applied after cutting, an embroidery pattern can be made to conform to the structure of a garment, whereas an all-over pattern is certain to be cut into by the seam. Judge machine embroidery for the clarity and smoothness of its pattern, for how closely it resembles careful execution and hand embroidery. Furthermore, judge the fabric background for stability. Plain weave linens and linen-like textures have sufficiently simple surfaces to carry decorations and are firm enough to be embroidered. And then they're firm enough and they can be embroidered or braided without puckering. Cotton, satin, and batiste, it says, often pucker badly around embroidered design. And these are showing straight line and geometric dots and florals patterns. So straight line or dots and florals kind of patterns you have. So I think we're going to pause here. Thank you guys. And I'll see y'all next time. My page, facebook.com, Yosallplay, YOSALLPLAY. Thank you. And I have a bunch of these pieces of fabrics. If I get to it, I'll make a review of all the different fabrics I have, like little snippets and samples. See you later.